style. Here,
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. I think we are ready to say good morning, TK.
Hey, Darryl. All right. This is exciting today.
Look
Happy
at
Thanksgiving,
us.
by the way.
Is it Thanksgiving? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving Sunday.
Right
What a
back
great
at
day.
you. Yeah. You got plans for today?
Well, I don't think we can publicize that. I mean, I might be going to some gatherings over 10 people or something. That would be wrong.
I wouldn't put it
But
past you. You're
the answer is no.
you're pretty big risk taker.
I'm pretty high risk over here.
You are.
There may be a small gathering outside amongst 5 or 6 people, but that's it. It's a little bit different this year, so that's okay. I understand. I get it. We're doing our part.
We are doing our part. We have a solid fan base of somewhere between 45 and 80 people.
Absolutely, yeah. We're out there.
We are out there. So hello, everybody. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe.
Do it.
Hit that like button. Make some comments. What's going on? Nothing's going on.
Yeah, comments are great.
I'm pretty sure I predicted this lockdown.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to check the tapes, but let's just say you did.
Yeah, we're going to say I did.
Okay.
So here we are. Back in lockdown
form. We're in stage 2 version 6.7.
I wonder what the next stage 2 lockdown will look like. Will it be any different?
We're just going to cycle between 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, and then just kind of have fun with it, right?
There was an article that says, how risky is a get-together in Toronto right now? In some scenarios, there's a 25% chance COVID-19 will be a guest at the party. Isn't that great? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
All right.
Are you
Don't
okay?
drink tea and laugh at fake stats at the same time.
That's fake? Ooh, that's a fake stat? Yeah. You think that's a fake stat?
Well, yeah. Well, if you meet somebody who's walking out of the hospital just diagnosed with COVID-19, then yeah, there's a chance they'll be at your party.
Are you inviting them to your parties? Oh, boy, we killed TK. All right.
All right.
It's
This is how it goes sometimes. This is as real as it gets. But yeah, I love how people can make it sound like that's what the odds are in some circumstances. In most circumstances, the odds of someone being at your party are less than 1%.
Less than 1%. So hold on a sec. How many cases do we have total versus our population? Actually, who gives a shit? This thing is like...
It's a small number, Darryl.
I'm so tired of this.
The one number I do know is 2.1% of people that have been tested have now been tested positive. All right? So those are the people who actually have the symptoms and who are concerned because they were in contact, and that number is 2.1. So the general population, that number is going to be much lower. So it's 1%. That's or less. So go to those Christmas or those Thanksgiving parties and, see old Uncle Billy and Cousin Sherry and enjoy yourself.
That's so weird because there's an Uncle Billy and a Cousin Sherry in our family.
Yeah.
Did you make that up?
No, I have a Cousin Sherry and no, I have a Cousin Bill, not an Uncle Bill. Sorry.
It's very strange.
Targeting you.
How did you do that? You are a savant.
All right, let's get down to business here. The brass tacks. What's going on with the economy though right now, Darryl?
I don't know. I guess everybody's kind of probably a little frozen right now. What's going to change from this? The restaurants that were in trouble are going to be in even more trouble.
Okay.
I think a bunch of gyms are pretty pissed off because they're being, all lumped into the same vein, which I don't know. I'm reading stuff from restaurateurs that are understanding of what's going on and actually say in these articles that they were planning on closing up anyways because it was getting stupid. I don't know how real that is. I don't know too many business owners like praying for a lockdown if they're in the restaurant or entertainment or gym
Well,
business.
if you were operating at a loss right now with the current limits and everything else, wouldn't it be nice to know that 90% of your
Competition.
rent is going to be paid now, and it's going to be paid directly through the government as opposed to going through your landlord?
I don't know
So it
if
might
it's,
be a little bit of a savior for some people.
is it
Some people might go,
90% or is it $10,000? I think it's
uh,
$10,000 that goes towards your rent. And I think it's total, but maybe
I
I'm
think
wrong. I
it
didn't
could have
really
been
pay
up to
attention.
90%, but what I heard was 90%. But most restaurateurs, their rent are less than that.
And they're giving it direct to the to the actual,
To the owner,
right.
the small
So,
business owner affected, not just the restaurant
so
guy.
how many of those people are actually going to pass it on to the landlord?
Well, it doesn't matter either way if they're getting the money, right? It could be actually a good thing. It could help people. It could get people through this time that ordinarily may not have because of, a lack of a patio or adequate space. Maybe they have 3 tables in their whole restaurant and they're thinking this is brutal.
Well, and this is why I'm saying like people are kind of frozen and they're in the same position because nothing's really changed. I mean, the what changed? Some places closed down again that were closed already that were already getting hammered. I mean, I guess that's bad, right?
The gyms though, that's a big one. They limited class sizes to 10 and then all of a sudden they close them down. A lot of those gyms are really, really, really month to month. A
Sure.
lot of those gyms are they struggle to keep those doors open every month, and those are the good times.
Yeah.
So now it's just been like one more added part to this equation. But
It seemed
hey,
it seemed
373,000 jobs added in September.
right.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's great. I mean, listen, they're trying to do whatever they can do to create jobs. Like, I don't know why there aren't more articles about people that are pissed off about all this money they just gave to Ford to redo their plant. Like, I'll take a few $1,000,000 to redo my plant.
Sure.
I'll make masks. Give me money. I'll do all the things they're giving out money for. What the hell's going
Yeah.
on? Why does Ford get 250 million bucks to retool their plant? Why don't they have to pay for retooling their plant on their own? I'm
Well, I
paying
think
to
they've
you and me are paying to retool Ford's plant right now to create jobs for people. I'd
yeah
rather keep that money if I
they've
have a
got the
choice.
resources and the backing to be able to sustain that and to actually make it work.
It's
So
all
there's a reason
crazy.
why Darryl and TK aren't getting the money or other small businesses.
Well, listen, small businesses are getting some money, right? If you can make, I mean, I don't know how much other entrepreneurs are used to making, but I can tell you my income is drastically changed, and $1,800 after tax a month doesn't really put much of a dent into my budget, right?
No.
I don't know how many people are in the same boat, but I mean, I haven't made a penny since this thing started, right?
Hmm.
Everything shut
Um,
down in both my companies.
yeah, I
And
think
but they're not
it.
trying to keep me afloat. They're trying to keep I don't know who they're trying to keep afloat actually.
Well, no, they've
Everyone.
provided programs. Let's not
They're
be
throwing money at everything. Everybody. No one's
the
really
the
targeted.
$40,000 business loan was a good thing for people who are in sole proprietorships and small corporations and stuff like that, small family owned companies. That was a good option to keep people's head above water for a while.
Sure, but then you're 40 grand in debt,
I agree.
right? So I mean, yeah, they're throwing money at everybody and people are taking advantage of it and people are using it because they desperately do not want to close the doors to their business. But like again, it's a segment of the economy. So okay, we're showing 10% unemployment right now, right?
9
Is it 9 now?
down to 9. Yeah.
Okay, so
We're
9%.
720,000 positions short of where we were in February.
Does that include people that are on CERB and CRB, or is that
Well, no, this is full time and some part time job gains. So this is actual jobs.
no? But
These are
forget
people
about
who are
job
working.
gain. The unemployment number, does that include people that are on CERB, or is that like going to be a whole other thing? If you include CERB recipients, it's like 32% unemployment.
I mean, in order to qualify for the CRB, there's some hourly restrictions, right? So if you're at 0 hours, then yeah, but it means that some people could just be minimum, like working like
Yeah,
whatever it is, less than 10 hours or something like that. And so technically, they've got a part-time job.
yeah.
but they're also collecting the CRB. So it's not all as clear. It's not like everybody on CRB is part of the unemployment.
So I mean, if you're somebody who's still working at a movie theater or in a restaurant or at a gym, first of
Yes.
all, what are you thinking? Second of all, you have to start thinking about, finding employment somewhere else.
In the month of October.
Well,
I
I
think
mean, forever, I think, because this will kind of keep going up and down. I mean, who the hell wants to deal with anything that could, I mean, they're
I'm not gonna tell people that you should not be in the restaurant or the
get out of the
theater or the gym
restaurant
business
business.
for the rest. Those industries aren't going anywhere, Daryl.
Get out of a restaurant that relies 90% on people dining inside their
I
establishment.
100% agree with that.
How about that?
That's a great statement. Figure out a way to have more takeout, more delivery. Get Uber Eats, get
That's
Skip the
it.
Dishes, get the DoorDash people. Have those businesses working hand in hand with you, advertising and getting your brand out there.
I think people should,
Now's the time.
if you have a specialty, you should sell it on Uber Eats from home.
Sure.
Bake some
Yeah,
bread.
you're not
Pump
allowed
it
to
out the
operate a
door.
commercial kitchen out of a residential property, but hey, who's gonna know?
Well, fine.
Either way, I hear what you're saying.
I think we
Find the
should.
gym.
I think we should open up a ghost kitchen.
I think that's a good business. That's a great business that's been around for a while, but nobody's
Little
really been
while,
doing
but
it.
no, but yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah,
guys doing it, but
yeah.
that's the secret sauce right
That's
now.
that's right there. Yeah. Why do you need to be somewhere? Like we're all online. Go online, show the pictures of your food, and have it delivered.
That's
I
it.
ordered Swiss chalet. I haven't been in a Swiss chalet in who knows how long.
And people are complaining about the amount of money that these apps take as a commission for the sale, but if you don't have people inside your restaurant and you don't have wait staff and you don't have all that overhead, you have
That's a
to be able,
bargain.
right?
That's
You
a
have
bargain.
right. So it's
Yeah.
what's everybody doing? How come I can figure this out?
Yeah.
How come you can figure this out?
I like it for the ghost kitchens. It is tough to swallow when you're a restaurant and you are paying the 20 to 30% commission to the companies. But I always
Sure.
look at it as marketing. So you're gaining customers.
Customers, sure.
They may come and dine in with you later. They may come and get their own takeout. They may not always do delivery, and so I think that the value's there, and that's more of a marketing than a sales ploy. But hey,
I'm telling you, that's got to be. And you know what? I saw some cool stuff actually this week. There's actually it's a Toronto company. They made a touchless pickup coffee robot kind of thing. So you order your coffee online and you go to the front of this retail store, and there's a Keurig or something right there that
do they
makes your
spell your
coffee.
name right?
You know what? That's probably the best part of it, is that you get to write your name the way you want to see it.
I think you should put a picture of you on it. They take a picture with your phone, and
How
then
good
they
would
print
that
a
be?
little quick picture of you on the side of the cup.
We're gonna have to start charging consulting fees for people to
All
listen
these
to this
amazing
thing.
business ideas. So let's look at these numbers still some more here. Okay, so we lost 3 million jobs. All right, the 720,000 positions that we need to gain would make it so we've got 2.28 million jobs gained back since the virus kind of took over in March.
That's pretty
That's a lot of
good.
job gains. That's huge.
That's
So
huge.
for us to only have 720,000 jobs left in order to hit those numbers, where are those jobs? Obviously, accommodation, food services, that's going to be the biggest sector. I don't think that sector's coming back.
Well, but where are the new jobs being created is what's more important to me.
Well, so teaching, education, they hired a lot of teachers.
Yeah,
Man, that whole teacher strike right before this thing happened, there was a huge
that didn't get resolved at all.
Well, I think the teachers won. That's it. The government just started throwing every dollar they possibly had to or asked for in order to make the teachers go back to work. And I think that's what they had to do. They had no choice.
I'm thinking
they lost
about
their
being
leverage
a teacher
on that one. Yeah, it's a good job.
They're hiring. Listen, there's kids now or parents that are opting to send their kids to the online that they can't because they're already 7,000 kids worth of teachers short.
I know.
It's crazy.
So here's what it is. So educational services is the number one sector that's
of job growth
in industry and job growth. Yep, there's actually 35,000 more jobs than there were. Wholesale trade, about 20,000 more jobs.
Wholesale. What kind of wholesale?
Professional, scientific, and technical services, they're up about 9,400. Utilities, people are using the internet and screwing up their signals and stuff, I guess. So that's up about 5,000.
So nothing in the technology sector?
They don't have that there specifically.
And then
So that's definitely something that you could probably group into the professional, scientific, and technical services, right?
Didn't Amazon just announce that they're gonna hire like a...
That's got to be wholesale trade, no?
I don't know what counts as wholesale trade. Who's
Anyways.
wholesaling anything right now? Everything from China's kind of screwed
Amazon
up.
does. Amazon's, when you say you want to sell something for $9.99 on Amazon, they're like, all right, great. We're going to give you $2 and we're going to buy 30,000 of them.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, thank you. And you accept it because you know it's going to get sold.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Well, that's fantastic. I think that's really great news. 720,000. If we had another record month in October, which doesn't look like we will, like we did in September, we'd be able to have this job shortfall counted for in the next 2 months.
And
but that's not realistic.
Not construction or real estate, is not in any...
Construction is actually still down quite a bit.
With 124 cranes in the sky?
120,000 construction positions. I think that's why the big shortfall is there, right? I mean, also you have to look at Canadian wide. So the natural resources industry has been decimated. All those guys who are working on any of those sites is just like completely.
You're talking about gas and oil.
Yeah, there's not even a job anymore. Like there's not even like a, hey, just push the broom around until they call us, from upstairs.
Yeah, but I got to think that gold and silver and nickel, all the stuff they're using in all these batteries for Elon Musk, all that stuff must be going pretty crazy.
The prices of those go up. But
the jobs don't grow?
The less that they mine those minerals, the higher the prices go. So they take it easy, right?
Right.
They don't want to mine it. They don't want to create more of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, either way, I mean, it's promising numbers. I think that's something that we can look at.
It's definitely good that it's going the right direction.
Yeah, they compare it to the 2008-9 Great Recession, and they talk about it took us 10 years to be able to get back to the point that we were from the Great Recession. So I think we're going to be on track in less than 10 years to be able to hit those numbers that we were seeing, sub 6% unemployment rate by the time we get through this virus. So hopefully in the next 2 years.
So I mean, it's becoming quite apparent that there are certain industries in a lot of trouble, and it's becoming more and more apparent that they will have to kind of reconfigure or die, a lot of them, right?
Yep.
So what is keeping somebody in the CRB or unemployment? How many people are making less than $24,000 a year or whatever you get to make with this thing, that are still sitting there going I think it's a good idea to wait until this lockdown, I'm going to stay in the restaurant industry.
So this is what it says. It says 1.8 million people in Canada are categorized as unemployed. 1.3 million workers affected by the COVID economic shutdown, which are affected, which means they are employed but working less than they'd like to or normally do.
So that's not unemployed.
That's not unemployed.
Right.
Right.
1.3 million
so they don't have enough. They don't have enough money. Yeah, right. They could be collecting it. So they're just not able to get the hours that they thought. So they're working less hours. Their business has been affected. They're probably thinking very consciously, if I work more hours, I'm not going to get that benefit. So I might as well just work these hours because I qualify.
I know,
Think about it. But who's going to go to work an extra 30 hours a month if they don't have to?
No, I get it. But how many people live at that level where that level of income is fine, that you don't have to go, holy shit, I better get a job in some other sector right now because I need some fucking money here.
I think the two spectrums of age categories, the 20 to 30-year-olds living at home and the people who have got already their retirement planned. And now they're thinking hey, you know what, I get my pension in a few years here, and my work's telling me that, things aren't very safe, and, I'm in the high risk category. So why don't I just, take a little bit of a pay cut, but I'll just be at home. I can just test this retirement living out here. Even though that's not a huge age group that's actually collecting CRB, believe it or not, I still think that that's somebody who is an example of someone who says, look, I don't need to work. Why take the risk? Maybe I'm taking a 50% hit on my income, but it's the safe thing to do. And I've already got plans for retirement. This will still help me reach my goals. So,
Well, I think that number's going to get worse before it gets better. That's for damn sure now.
all right. Well, I think that's a great economic update for our wonderful listeners.
Is that this is the official update? It is going to get worse before it gets better, folks. That's it.
You heard it here. You heard
it here. First, second, third, or fourth. Okay, here we
I got a cool deal to talk about.
You want to talk about a deal? Let's talk about a deal.
Well, I think this is what it. Go ahead. What's your little intro there? I want to talk about
the
a scenario.
deals.
I want to talk about a scenario.
I just dealt with of a deal. Okay.
The scenario is.
Is this going to be a quiz? Like, am I going to be tested?
It's how do I get out of my condo and into the freehold market?
Okay.
Right.
How do I get out of my condo?
This is what people are
in downtown.
In one of the central neighborhoods of Toronto.
Okay.
Either downtown or midtown.
Okay. So how do I get out of my expensive condo that I paid too much for and can't rent right now?
Well, let's look at this from why are you there in the first place? You're probably living downtown or midtown because your job is nearby.
Yeah.
You want access to the subway.
You're super cool and you like to be near stuff.
You're cool and you need to be cool stuff because otherwise people are going to be missing out on your company, right? Yeah. And you like to go cool places are like bars or nightclubs, restaurants, art galleries, stuff like that. Everything that's closed right now.
Walking around. Aimlessly.
Baseball games.
Yeah.
Right? So that's probably why you were there. And now your job is...
And it's all you could afford.
Yeah.
And you could only afford that.
At the time that you purchased, because we're talking about people who now can afford more. So yeah, at the time you purchased, that was all you could afford. Exactly. Okay.
So now you got a kid. It's too small.
You may or may not have children. You may or may not, You
want to kill your spouse because you're way too close all the time.
But you're working from home.
You're working from home and your balcony is 10 square feet.
Yes. So, or you may not have one.
So you're
working from home. You've got, computers piled up. Your spouse, your partner, your roommate, whoever's there,
Shut up. I'm in a meeting.
They're battling you for airtime. You talk while I type and you.
If I gotta say it one more time.
Okay. There's no soundproofing in your hollow doors and 4.5-inch thick walls, right?
Yeah.
So it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Right. It's a struggle. So what do you do, Darryl? You just go out and buy a freehold house. I mean, you go to the bank. You say, how much do I qualify for? You go out there and you buy a house, and everything's going to be okay, right?
Assuming I get full maximum price from 7 months ago on my condo.
Oh, so you mean you have to get a certain amount of money on your condo in order to be able to get that new house?
Well, I have to pay back mom and dad when I sell this thing for the loan that they gave me.
Okay. All right.
I have to pay my realtor.
Great scenario. Absolutely.
Right? I need the down payment for the next place, and
land transfer tax is pretty expensive in the city.
And closing costs, legal fees, and blah 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 blah. There's not much left if I don't get this price for this place.
So what do you do, Darryl?
Well, first, what do I do, or what does a normal person do?
What does a person do who's in a condo right now? How do they get to the freehold house? What are the steps?
1, you find a really good realtor.
Okay. What does he do or she do for you?
She figures out a realistic scenario that you can afford based on your pre-approval.
Okay.
And the money that you say you have if you sell your condo for this.
For that price. Okay.
And I think what I do is I sell my condo and then I figure it out And if I have to rent for a few months, then I rent for a few months while I figure it out. But I think right now I sell my condo first. And I
Good.
don't even spend the time looking for anything and getting myself all excited, or even worse, my wife all excited with things that I cannot possibly afford.
I disagree slightly. I think there needs to be a little bit of research so that when you do finally sell, if the freehold market continues to be pulling away, you've already done a lot of market education. So you're ready to go and you're able to pull the trigger as soon as possible because you've gone out and see places. But if
Sure.
you are
Yeah, I
emotional,
mean,
then maybe it just needs to be online for now.
well, I would
Okay.
do it simultaneously, but more importantly, I would have to figure out how much money I actually have to spend, right?
Exactly. So the scenario that I had to deal with was unfortunately someone bought already, and then they decided to sell their condo afterwards. And they
Mm.
used a realtor who was referred to them. They went out and bought, and they paid top dollar for a beautiful house. That's nothing wrong with the house. And they tried to sell their condo, and unfortunately were taking a bath on the movement in the market, and they were never. Someone was always out pricing them in the building and stuff like that too. They had to lower the fee or the lower the asking price substantially in order to get it sold. And 2 weeks before closing, the sellers of the property that they had bought had said, "Too bad, so sad. We can hopefully get more money now. So you got 2 weeks to close."
Oh, why? They went in for price reduction?
No, they came back and asked for an extension and said, "Hey, we
Extension.
haven't sold our condo yet. Give us some more time." And the seller
Ah,
said, "Too bad. We're gonna be able to sell this no matter what, and we'll keep your deposit."
yeah. How much was the deposit?
It was a good deposit. It was nothing that you wanted to walk away from, and the risk was um, they did pay quite a handsome fee for that home. If the sellers didn't get that amount of money, again, then they could be on the hook for additional damages and stuff like that, and it could be pretty costly. Right. So the first step we did, they called us in and they said, "Hey, we need help." The realtor actually called us and said, I can't figure this out. We need somebody who's got more experience in this type of situation." And so the first thing we did was I spoke to the lawyers. I called the seller's agent on the property they bought. And I said, "Guys, we're not going to be closed in 2 weeks. There doesn't matter what you do. There's no miracle. Even if I can arrange private financing, it's not going to be ready. So we need an extension." So we negotiated, we gave them a non-refundable deposit and said, "We're going to be able to close this in another month as long as we do these few things." What we did on our side is we arranged private financing. We showed them all the numbers and said, "This is what you're going to have to do, but we'll have it ready for you so you can give this non-refundable deposit, and in 30 days you'll be able to close no matter what. It's done."
So the private funding is a bridge loan?
It was able to be closing on that purchase without them even selling the condo.
And then what? This guy's going to tie up their condo too? He's going to put a lien on the condo?
Yes, that there would be something on the condo too, right? So
Okay.
they had equity, right?
Yeah.
So then we said, at least we know we're going to be able to close on that purchase. Okay, that's not our goal, is to do it that way. That wasn't our goal. Okay, so
No,
we
but at
we
least you got a
at
backup
least
plan.
exactly, at least telling them to do a non-refundable, the risk is, now you're losing more money. So they were comfortable with that. They trusted in what we said we were going to do. um, we got the extension. We gave the non-refundable. Everything's okay. The closing date's been extended as per the agreement. We went in the condo. We completely, asked them to restage things. They had great furniture and all that stuff too. So we just made it look a lot nicer, a lot cleaner. Took professional photos, brought the right people in, made the place shine. Actually marketed the property. So we spent a ton of money making sure that we got the property out to as many people as possible, and we sold it firm within 1 week for a fantastic price. Something they were happy with, something that they could close it with. They didn't have to go the private financing way. They're getting their bridge financing together, and they're now going to be moving into their dream home with less equity than they hoped for in the beginning. But it could have been a lot worse. I mean, they could have been stuck in the condo still and not got their dream home, right? So luckily that we were able to get them out of that trouble, but they never would have been there in the first place if they had done the right steps from the beginning. And that's why I'm talking about it today, is because you cannot rely on sales figures even from a week ago in the condo market,
No.
right?
Well,
You
it's
can't.
tough.
Well,
What do you think these guys would have said?
these guys,
Oh, maybe you can't see it on your
I
screen.
can't see. No,
Oh, I put up the billboard of the real estate ninjas. Did you hear about these guys?
no.
So these brokers, Toronto Realtor apologizes after offensive billboard is removed from busy intersection. These two
Oh
guys
boy.
from Remax, I can't
Let's
read.
not let's not brand them here, Daryl. Come on, leave them alone.
Real estate ninjas at your service. A couple of white guys.
Oh, and that was offensive?
I guess people had nothing better to do than go crazy, but I wonder what advice they would have given. Listen, the first realtor was fine allowing them to buy the house first, right?
You know what? Not everybody's got the same experience. And then also, if you're only selling a few houses a year, like we know what's going on in the condo market because we have condo listings, right? We know
It's
what's
not
going
only
on in the condo
that.
market.
You want the commission. They want the commission. They're like, oh my God, I got somebody willing to buy. I need this money. Let's go. Boom, buy this thing. I don't care about
That
you.
there can be economic factors and why business people do things too, unfortunately. But the main thing is don't go into those situations. Like when you're jumping up this huge price range, you're trying to stay in the city, there's all these costs, there's all these risks. There are other houses out there. Like there's great houses out there. There's great houses. And I've never met anybody who just like falls in love with this one house and is only willing to buy that one house. Even people who tell me the most elaborate stories of 30 years they wanted to buy on that side of the street and they want once they figure out they can't get it, they go and buy somewhere else and they're just as happy. So
Yeah.
don't go out and just buy something emotionally and take on all that extra risk. Get your condo on the market, get it properly done, make sure it's being marketed, make sure it's clean, make sure it's priced the best price per square foot for that model, or whatever the situation is in your building. Don't let anybody else be offering more value than you. Get it sold,
So, but
and then you're
people,
going to be able to move from A to B.
So, but I would imagine that a lot of people would say, I don't want to rent and throw my money in the garbage while I'm looking for something. What if it takes me 6-8 months before I buy something? That is going to cost me $24,000, $20,000. I'm going to eat
Here's the
into what I
question I
can
ask
buy,
everybody.
right?
So here's the question I ask everybody in this market. You have two options. I'm going to give you the two extremes. You tell me which one you're more comfortable with, and then I'll know how to advise you.
Yes.
Would you rather be broke or homeless? You tell me.
Yeah.
You have two options. You have to pick one.
Yeah.
You tell me you'd rather be broke than homeless? All right, I'll tell you a plan for you. You tell me you'd rather be homeless than broke? Great. Let me show you what we need to do to make this work.
Find you a home.
Yeah.
With all the money you have in your bank account.
Those are the two extremes. So far to date, nobody's been broke or homeless.
Sure.
But we found and also in the rental market right now, it's a fantastic time to be renting short-term rentals. I just had a lady who had her condo or apartment. We sold her house. She's moving to an apartment. The apartment wasn't ready yet for a very strange story. Apparently, someone had died in this apartment, and it was supposed to be released to her. So she's renting. It's like a cheap apartment in the West End. I didn't have anything to do with it. So she told me it's someone died in it. And then it was like going to be ready for this date. And now there's all these things that need to be done. So it's not going to be ready. So she calls me in a panic. I found her some short-term rentals that are renting furnished by the week.
Yeah.
And she got approved within minutes. They were just like, bring your dog. Do you smoke?
Sure.
Yeah, no problem. Come on in. Like they were literally willing to take her instantly because there's nobody renting right now.
I hope you're planning on growing some marijuana in here. Please.
Grow weed in here too, because this is going to be a great spot for that. We got southern exposure. Yeah.
Minimum 1 month.
Weekly.
What is it? Weekly?
Weekly. Furnished.
It's a mess.
Pets allowed.
It's a mess.
That's the rental market you're in right now. So she was able to find a place. So I'm confident. I'm going to meet with someone today right after this podcast where they've got some other issues too. And they've got some concerns. And so that's one of the little tools that we get to use is, if things need to happen, they're talking about selling their home by not having people come in. I said, well, instead of not having people come in, why don't you guys go and get a short-term rental and stay there for a couple weeks, right? Hopefully only a week, but we'll book it for 2. And so then that way we can bring people in while you're not even living in the house, right?
It's good to know that all of your clients are okay just throwing money all over the place.
Long as possible. Maybe they'll change windows on an as needed basis, but otherwise it's in the status documents now. So buying in that building, you're going to find out about it. What's going on? That surprising face you have right now tells me you got some interesting stories here.
No, I think we stopped recording for a bit, and I don't know when that ended.
Oh, cool.
Which is weird because I just checked the time and it was counting. So hopefully we didn't lose too much there.
It happens.
It happens. That's too bad. Anyways,
We might have missed the deal segment,
yeah,
but let's get into something else
no,
as
no,
our
no.
last segment.
Okay, so that insurance crisis that is looming. I actually talked to somebody a couple of years ago who said there's going to be a window crisis in the high-rise sector where all these curtain walls are going to start failing and all
In
these,
the downtown area, yeah.
well, just all these buildings that use curtain wall as their windows and their exterior cladding are going to like
Yeah.
fail. And anyways, that's a
Yeah.
crisis for another day. Okay, so the other thing that I thought was interesting, which maybe not too many other people will think is interesting, but they've been talking about the Ontario line a lot in the
Yeah.
news this week, where they've,
That was an interesting
right,
read
like,
this week.
yeah. So there's a lot of people up in
Knock, knock.
arms because they're what they're calling displacement, which is really what's the real term
Expropriation.
for it?
Expropriation.
Expropriation, which
Yeah.
means we are taking your shit and
Yeah.
there's not much you can do about it. Although there is stuff you can do about it if you are inclined to try.
Well,
So
the issue is now, what do you do? Do you renovate? Do you sell? Do
you
you
definitely don't renovate because they're gonna try and set the price on you.
do you burn the house down? What do you do? Right?
That would probably not be the
What is
worst
it?
idea.
What is the move here? I don't know what the move is.
So here, I'll give you a little story.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle used to live at Langstaff and Yonge Street, which I believe is considered Thornhill, where long before the 407 was coming through that area. And so my uncle decided, you know what? I'm going to hold out till the very end and I'm going to make a goddamn fortune because all these other idiots are selling. I'm
Yeah.
going to wait till the end and they're going to have to pay me what I want. And so instead, what do they do? They move the highway just ever so slightly, and he never got bought till years later, and like he went out of business. He like the complete value of his house disintegrated compared to what they were planning on paying him. So,
Yes.
but let me tell you another story. So there's a property downtown Toronto at it's a parking lot. It's at where is it? Adelaide and John Street. Big parking. Oh, Richmond and John. Sorry. Big parking lot, open space. And the city was trying to expropriate it for a dog park. Right? The councillor down there wanted a new park for all these new buildings that are going up in the entertainment district, right? So they were trying to expropriate the land for years. And this owner, this is a pretty expensive property downtown and they're a pretty wealthy family. So they were like, no, you're not taking our land. I don't care. And the city is like, yeah, we're taking your land. We'll pay you fair market price. So it began like years of them trying to get offers to prove what market price was, right? So I actually, not knowing that, there was this possibility of expropriation, put in an offer. And so this thing ended up selling for over $100 million. But the owners were able to dig their heels in and say, like, no, you're not taking our land for what you say it's worth. You're taking the land for what the market says it's worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they put it out on the market. They took offers. They got a bunch of offers over $100 million. And then the city ended up buying it for $100 million.
Wow.
Right? So, like, there's things you can do, but I mean, somebody that owns a house they bought for $400,000, on whatever street, out in the East End there, is not going to dig their heels in that much, I don't imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have a story too. Yeah.
People will be displaced.
Waterfront Trail right on Lake Ontario. 2 houses were there. One guy took the expropriation money, whatever it was. Guy I knew, his dad held out until like the offers kept going higher, and then one day the offers stopped, and then the next thing you know, it's an expropriation order, and the offer was basically very close to what the original offer was. It was at that time it was about $250,000 less than what the highest offer was, and because there's cost. If you end up going that far and they end up like they really do need your land, well, now they're going to be like, okay, well, we offered you that to make it easy, but then we had to pay lawyers and we had to go through this whole process.
Sure.
So now we're going to pay you less. So
and
in the
you
end,
delayed the project and everything.
yeah, in the end, the government will win. This is a legal tool that they can use in order to be able to take yo shit.
So it brings up a good point, and this was also in the news this week. I think I don't know if it was more Canadian or U.S. like directed at the U.S., but no, it was Canadian. Just the argument versus own and rent, right? Own versus rent. What's the smarter move? And the dream of ownership is not what it's all cracked up to be. I mean, listen, if you're doing a pros and cons list, and you have to somewhere put on there that at the end of the day, it's not really yours. First of all, there's two people. One, the government can take it at any time, right? And two, if you have a mortgage, really, all you're doing is paying rent for that piece of paper.
Yep.
Right? So I think like in Europe and in New York and in a lot of places, people aren't as hung up on ownership as they are here in Canada.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, big time.
So,
and North America, the States too.
I think the States too, but I mean,
Like
in
the
Florida,
majority of
but in Florida you can buy a house for $395, and it's actually a decent house somehow. I don't get it. You can't even
Big
build
cities,
it for $395.
San Francisco, New York,
Yeah, there's some crazy
very common,
places.
very common to not own there.
Right? Because I mean, look, at a certain point you have to say like, I want to live here. I can't afford a house, so what do I do? Right? There's still tons of people that want to live in the city that just can't put that down payment. But then,
Yeah.
I mean, that brings up a whole other point that this pandemic has brought up is like, holy shit, how many people are living month to month and what's going on? Why is everybody so broke?
Because they all want to own a home.
Because they all want to own a fucking home, right? So
I know.
all the equity that they have is tied up in this thing that is not liquid. It's because, listen, I love real estate and I think it's smart, but I mean, more and more we're going to have to be dealing with investors, right? Who can afford to put up buildings and rent it out to people.
Yeah.
It just has to happen.
Yeah, we're heading in that direction, and people. I think this is the number one thing with, and it kind of ties in expropriation and the whole home ownership thing. The majority of people aren't like you and I looking at like investment vehicles and stuff like that, and real estate is just strictly just about numbers and everything else. They're actually they just want to like live in a home that they can grow up in, that they can have their kids grow up in, that they can feel comfortable, that they don't feel like they need to move, they don't feel like that they have to go anywhere, that there's not going to be a landlord saying I'm going to sell, or that building changes are going to happen. And I think a lot of people just want that peace of mind.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been through that experience where you have been expropriated, or you have been evicted, or you have been given notice for a landlord who's going to take it over personally, that's not a feeling that you enjoy. And by owning your property, it means that there are laws that protect you. And as long as you're making those payments, the bank can't take it from you. And as long as it's not in the way of the government can't take it from you. And that gives people a sense of peace of mind. And that's, I believe, what the driving factor is for most Canadians.
Yeah, I think that's just there's different ways to lose it if you own it. And all of them can sideswipe you just the same. Nobody saw this pandemic coming. Well, I mean, it's not true that nobody sees bankruptcy coming, but like, not very many businesses see like these disruptive technologies coming in that are going to blow them out of the water, right? Or all of a sudden there's this big box store comes in and puts you out of business.
True. There's stories that happen like that, but yet it's not
things, so many factors. But anyways,
it's not the most common one. I did read insolvencies were down 42%
from
Q2.
last year. Yeah, I read that too. Yeah. Which is
pretty
interesting.
impressive.
Well, is it? I mean, you're comparing it to a year where they didn't give everybody all this money, right?
Yeah, true.
So if the year before everybody was getting all these bailouts, then I'm pretty sure the numbers would have been lower by maybe 42%.
Yeah.
Or maybe more.
True. I think the other thing too is about credit cards and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that are really, really strange because we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's an economic crisis.
Stock
There's
market's
up.
I know, real estate prices are up.
Who are not doing well, right? But there's also a ton of people I know, anecdotally, and different things, stories that I've heard, where they're like, I've been carrying a $15,000 debt for the last 10 years, and now I finally paid it off because of COVID. Like little things like that I've heard. Like
Sure.
there's just people who are really coming out of this better, and I'm hoping that our patterns of spending and creating debt and everything else is going to change. I'm hoping that that's like the silver lining of this pandemic, is that we're all going to come out of this and go, hey, what were we thinking? Just taking on all that debt and doing all those crazy things. Like, I'm not going to have a windfall. Most people aren't going to have a windfall of financial freedom, right? There's certain people who do, and they're the ones who can take the risk. But most people are like, I make $60,000 a year, and I get paid this much a month, this much a week, and that's that for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
So to get out of this debt and to say to yourself, I don't want that to happen again. I'm really positive about Canadians learning that lesson, and I think it's a really valuable lesson that we were getting away from, at least my generation. We all just thought you just borrow, and then when your house price goes up, you consolidate all your debts and you refinance. Like that's what people do. That's what Mike, the mortgage broker, was telling us last episode we did, right?
I don't know about the next generation, how it's gonna be.
Yeah,
I don't know. Even ours, like our generation, we haven't really got our teeth into things yet.
Yeah.
Right. Like we still need the generation above us to kind of move out of the way so we can do stuff. Maybe
free up those assets, baby boomers.
Well, or just unravel some of this mess they made.
Right.
Right now,
let us own some more stuff.
That's right. Let us control some shit, man. What is this? You guys fucked up everything.
I know.
Give us a turn.
You and I have been talking about the guy that I'm dealing with right now in that generation. You know, it's like they're not in a hurry for anything.
No.
They're in no rush to sell anything. You know, like it's like, oh my gosh.
But I think whether you own, whether you rent, there's still going to be a ton of people that need to live somewhere, and somebody has to own it, right?
Yes.
And somebody has to rent it. So there's lots of...
No matter what, you're going to be paying a mortgage. It's either going to be your own or your landlord's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, unless your landlord doesn't have one.
Then that money is going somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like that money's going into some sort of investment. At some point down the road, there's a financial institution getting a hold of your funds. All right.
To loan it right back out to some other sucker.
To your neighbor.
That's
exactly.
Right. All righty.
Yeah.
Well,
Daryl, this has been a great episode.
We will see if that is true. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what the market thinks.
I think if somebody can just like the video and share it and comment and subscribe, just one person. It doesn't have to be everyone. Just the guy I'm talking to, the girl I'm talking to. Just you do it. Just that one.
You.
No,
not you. You. Thank you.
Thank you.
Press that button.
Okay, we'll talk later.